Like there's a dog. I don't know if you found the dog, but you can find a dog
No.
and find him a home. Like you get to choose to drop him off with another character because he's lonely. Uh,
See, that maybe that would have turned this whole game around for me.
if you'd
If
known
I
about
found
the
the dog,
dog.
I would have been like, it's all worth it. I'm Emmy,
I'm Annie.
and this week we're playing Dredge. So first, some news.
But first, we can get into some gaming news. I am looking at two specific articles, both from Game Developer. The first was an article that came out on November 1st about how, like, through a survey of small and large game studios alike, basically it was found that a lot of poor leadership also leads to game development falling into, development hell or difficult timelines. This wasn't a scientific study, but it was a lot of conversations that showed essentially like six different patterns in poor leadership that the article discussed. And Emmy and I read this earlier this week, gave us war flashbacks, at least for me, to various media companies I've worked at where you see that kind of thing in play. I don't know if we had new insights to it necessarily. Just, I feel it was important to highlight because a lot of the time, devs working inefficiently is what gets blamed for a game not moving forward on time, but a lot of the time it is poor leadership that makes those devs work in that way, even though the devs are very talented and want to do it in a way that they know would be better. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is not surprising to me. I don't know if it's surprising to many people because it's very similar in the software industry of like independent contributors know very clearly what the issues are, and a lot of time it has to do with poor leadership, and they repeatedly, this is just my experience, flashbacks as I said, in my experience in software engineering, it's just repeated like, hey, we're having this issue. I'm raising it to you now. This is an issue. We need to address it. Here are the ways I suggest that we address it. Um, and then they don't do that. And they do things that don't work instead. And like things that are like objectively like, hey, we've told you over and over and over again, this doesn't work. And they're like, what if we did it again?
Yep. But what if this time it was different?
Yeah.
Or the article also cites an oft blamed, but like it's a trope for a reason, idea of leadership going away for the weekend, playing a certain big game that just got popular, and then coming back and then being like, guys, I've cracked it. We just have to do something exactly like this game they just played. So, yeah, I hope that article summarizing these things that a lot of people basically already knew has been helpful. I don't know if it is in the industry or not, but it's out there and we'll link it. And I think it was enlightening for me. The other game developer article that I wanted to cite is just the one from a couple of days ago as of this recording, which shows that Future Class is not going to be part of the Game Awards this year, just as it wasn't last year. So this is the second time that the Future Class under the Games Awards has been canceled. And I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but basically for a while now, as part of the Game Awards, a younger class of game professionals in all manner of the industry, writers, programmers, etc., designers, are named as like a Forbes 30 under 30 thing. So like up and comers, it's a networking thing, it's an honor, or supposed to be. So didn't do it last year, and they're not doing it this year. And now the entire Future Class page has been removed from the Game Awards website. So it may just be permanently on ice. We don't know. And a lot of former members of Future Class or like past nominees are expressing their displeasure with this because it does a disservice not only to the people who are already part of it, but the actual future of game development, because it can be a useful tool for networking or coming up in your career. Some past nominees have been Emma Kidwell, Anna Webster, both writers, just for some examples, who are also outspoken about what's going on. So there's a lot of anger when it comes to Jeff Keighley and the Game Awards each year. I think there's always controversy and something to be discussed, and this is just another part of it. Particularly sad, though, considering there have been so many layoffs in the last couple of years in the games industry. In a time when things already feel, it seems rather bleak for the future of the games industry, saying no future class feels even bleaker.
It just feels like a really bizarre choice to me. Like, I can't follow the logic of, like, how much effort was going, not to imply that it's like a low effort thing or like an easy lift, but it just doesn't seem like something where it's like, well, this was taking a lot of our resources and like planning and management time. It just doesn't, the return on disinvestment, I guess, divestment seems low here. So it's hard for me to, especially compared to the harm or loss of benefit that it causes. So it seems like a really weird choice to me. But I don't.
Yeah.
Who
I
knows?
mean,
I don't know.
what the article cites is that it's possible part of it, and there's no confirmation here, but it's possible that part of the idea of pausing the program came from internal pressures from previous nominees to be more politically outspoken at the Game Awards. So people wanted a statement to be made on Palestine. Nothing was made on Palestine. The last one. Also, more pressure and requests from previous honorees to support the alumni and the network of people in future class. So part of it may be that they just didn't want to put any more resources other than giving the honor and then not helping otherwise.
Yeah. So instead of responding to feedback, listening to people on the ground, they instead were like, what if we just plugged our ears and said, sorry, you actually can't give criticism to us because we don't exist anymore.
Yeah. See, but we don't have to lecture anybody listening to this podcast on listening because you already are listening. That's the whole thing a podcast is. So, funny how it's a theme, though. So that's my news. That's my actual news. Do you want to talk about the state of Silksong?
Sure. I don't have... You got excited when I mentioned that I have a State of Silksong update, and it's very minimal, which is that I beat the Chapel of the Beast. I went back into it. I have poison now. Because I think when I had stopped, I had beaten the Widow. And then, yeah, you had mentioned, like, oh, wait to do the Chapel of the Beast until you have poison. And it was a lot easier. I beat it in, like, 5 tries or something once I had that. And now I'm on to Sinner's Road, and I'm stressed. It's so hard. These little crocodile insect guys that like chomp you and then throw you. I don't know how. I just run away from them. I'm doing the Annie Drova strategy, which is just run away.
The coward strategy. It worked in Drova.
Yes,
it works here too.
The coward stratagem.
I'm proud you're back to it, and also proud that you're knuckling through Sinner's Road, because it is really difficult and awful. Have you been reading the Hornet descriptions of the beasts in Sinner's Road in the Hunter's Journal?
No, I kind of forgot about it.
They're funny.
It's been a while.
You should take a look, because basically as much as you're hating Sinner's Road, Hornet is as well. Every description of a monster in Sinner's Road is like, this shit sucks, I gotta get out of here. It's just
she and I are the same.
Exactly. So, yes.
It's like, it's that experience of like, my whole body is tense. I can feel my teeth. Like,
stop. I don't like remembering my teeth are there, so thanks for that reminder.
Yeah. Okay, other State of Silksong update is on Halloween. We were driving back from picking up my engagement ring, and we saw 2 people walking up the hill as we were driving down wearing full papier-mâché vessel and hornet masks.
Perfect. Amazing.
So, and I'm upset that it was like, I didn't react fast enough to like roll down my window and like catcall them.
A complimentary catcall. The nice one.
To be like, I don't know what I would have said. I'm not quick enough on my feet. I wanted to compliment them, though, on their efforts.
Picturing someone yelling out to someone dressed as Hornet, just like, nice legs you got there. Like some classic awful cat call.
It's
Just
just like,
Hornet.
damn, that's a sexy bug right there.
It still would have been correct. It just would have been rude. Hornet is a sexy
Yeah.
bug. It's just true.
I mean, I guess even if I had thought about it, I probably wouldn't have actually done it because I've been on the receiving end of my dog getting catcalled, where people will sometimes roll down their windows and be like, nice corgi. So, which is not so bad, but like, sometimes I like, my hackles go up because I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's just
oh,
startling.
someone's yelling at me. Yeah. So I probably wouldn't have done it anyways, but no individuals in Seattle who were wearing your Hornet and Vessel masks that I support you and admire you
Wonderful.
respectfully.
Respectfully. With no yelling from windows.
Yeah.
I didn't see any particularly good costumes because I didn't really go out for Halloween this year. But I can give my little state of Silksong as well, which is for the past like 2 weeks, honestly, since we last recorded, I've been stuck in a difficult platforming section in Silksong. And it took the last 2 weeks because I would basically just do a bit of it, die, be unable to go back or forward because obviously I was too bad to go forward and the bench was too far away. Like I'd gotten far enough, right? So I would just put my Switch to sleep at a point where I could wait and, go to work or whatever. And then
Yeah.
each evening just try again a little bit further and get a little bit further to a point where I could land. And the last week was in this particularly difficult section that a couple days ago I finally beat, and I learned that was the last section of the difficult platforming area. And
Yay.
that's why, yeah, I know, so finally over. I achieved what I needed to achieve. This is in Act 3, by the way. And I want to talk a little bit about, like, I would like to be able to tell you what the section is, but even saying what the section is kind of spoilery. It's the section above the cradle, which people will learn. People who have done that bit will know. So I did that and then finally came back downstairs to, I've told you everything in Act 3 is dark and scary. And so I'm like running and yelling and everything is so difficult. And then I came upon a boss that broke my heart. So I'm excited for you to get to it so you can also be heartbroken with me at one point or another. But that's where I'm at. I'm just trying to get everything done to finish the game in Act 3. And it's hard.
One of my favorite aspects of our relationship is the extent to which we are constantly recommending things to each other back and forth, and that when one of us finally is like watching or playing or reading whatever thing that we recommended, that we're always open to being like live tweeted at, basically.
It's true.
Like, I love waking up to like 25 messages. I feel like this is probably more likely that I do this to you, is send you like 25
No, I've
text messages in
definitely
a
done this to
row,
you.
like about like my experience of the thing you recommended. And like, there's nothing I love more than waking up to like, this person is finally going through this thing that I was going through, and I like am so excited to get their take on it.
And I can't wait to wake up to your text messages about it. That's
Yeah.
what
It
I'm
might be in
excited
like a
for.
year. Who knows how long it'll take me to get there.
Right. And we're going to talk later about upcoming games because there's a bunch of exciting things happening. But I'm also sitting here thinking, damn, like, I need to get through Silksong so that I can beat Hades 2, so we can talk about the end of Hades 2 because you already beat that. And then once I beat Hades 2, then I can start playing Outer Worlds 2, which came out recently and which I'm pumped for. And then maybe I can play all the cool new games that are coming out soon.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's my other update is my stack is, I guess it's really not a stack anymore because I did go in a different order. So maybe it's a cache. My
Sure.
cache eviction policy is. So I do feel like I got to a point where I was like bored with Infinity Nikki because I was waiting for the new update to come out. So then I was able to go back to Hades 2, finish Hades 2, and that allowed me to get back to Silksong. Although the new Infinity Nikki update did come out, and it is like I'm actually having a fun time with it.
Well, that's all the gaming that we've got that isn't for the episode. So, shall we get into some fish.
Yeah, let's go fishing. Let's talk just generally about our plan for this episode. So I played Dredge, which is a game that Annie has played previously. I played a little bit of and fell off. So I wanted to go back to that. And Annie has never played Dave the Diver, which I was a big fan of and played a lot. And we were both big fishing game people, so we decided let's do a fishing game episode with two of the bigger indie, whatever, people have opinions about whether or not Dave the Diver is indie. Right. Two of the,
which we'll get into,
bigger indie fishing games that we have not played that have come out. So it was sort of a catch-up episode for us, and I really love doing these episodes where we each talk to each other about games we played. I think they're really fun.
I agree, especially because I haven't revisited Dredge in quite a while since I binged it, and so I'm excited to hear about it through your eyes and also be reminded of some of this stuff. I meant to go play a little bit of it again as a reminder before you talked to me about it, but then I found that I had actually lent it to a friend and forgot. So I am going in truly fresh once again.
Oh, so you have the physical edition of it?
Yeah, I have the physical game.
I didn't realize that it released physically, except for a more recent whatever edition.
Yes, it did. I played it not right when it came out, but at the point where I guess it had gotten popular enough for there to be a physical edition. Mm-hmm. And also I think one part of the DLC was out, for a glacial area, but
yes.
I have not played
I was curious if you had played
the
DLC at all, because I did not play any of the DLC.
No, I did not. So we're on the same
now. Yeah. But so we're going to talk about Dredge first, and then Dave the Diver. You ready to talk about Dredge?
Yes, please. Tell me about Dredge. I know a little bit about the development because when I originally played it, I went and read a bunch, but I don't think I covered everything. So tell me more.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it will just be the basics from me because you always do a much better job researching actual interesting details, and I just get the basics. But
I don't think that's entirely true. I think it's more like I can't stop myself, probably to the detriment of other things about the episodes. So please continue.
I think it's always great. No bad talking Annie today.
Oh,
no negative comments about Annie. Okay, so a little bit about Dredge. Dredge is an eldritch horror fishing game. It is the debut game of Black Salt Games, and it was published in March of 2023 by Team 17. You play as the new fisherman in the town of Greater Marrow, following the mysterious disappearance of the town's previous local angler. You set off in your boat after being warned about the foggy, dangerous conditions at night. Fishing in Dredge consists of a couple variations of a timing minigame to reel in the fish faster. And then you can sell the fish you catch, any treasure or supplies you dredge up to earn money, which you then spend on upgrades to your boat and supplies. For me, I mostly focused on improving my engines to travel faster and my fishing rods to be able to catch fish from different areas. There is a day-night cycle in Dredge, which is pretty important to the game. During the day, it's much safer to travel, but at night there are also different fish which may sell for a greater price. At night, the fog rolls in, and as your paranoia increases, rocks suddenly appear out of nowhere, spectral crows appear, which may steal your fish, and you may be chased and attacked by a gigantic, mysterious creature. You quickly begin to find messages in bottles floating all across the world, chronicling a newly wedded couple narrated by the wife, who goes only by the initials JJ, and her unnamed husband. Close to Greater Marrow, you meet a character known only as the Collector, who tasks you with the main objective of the game, to retrieve 5 artifacts, which are scattered across the 5 main areas of the map. After handing over each artifact to the Collector, you receive a power-up, like improving the speed of your boat or adding defensive capabilities, and there is also another path you can take by not handing over the artifacts to the Collector, which we can talk about, because that is not the path that I took. Annie, you played and loved Dredge, so what was it that you loved so much about it?
So, I know you bounced off. So I'm probably going to say, these are the things I loved. And then you're going to be like, right. So I hated all of that. but I'm excited. I'm excited to hear. But what I really loved about it is, first off, I loved the eldritch horror aesthetic of it all. I was really into it. I don't play a lot of horror games per se, but I really enjoyed the palpable fear that the game engendered, especially in its night sequences, and a mechanic where essentially like your paranoia increases and the dangers increase as paranoia increases, but you can only learn certain things, like unlock certain lore at a certain level of paranoia. So you have to do this dance of what's like overboard, like too dangerous, and what isn't enough. I also liked the writing and the lore. I love a mysterious lighthouse keeper. There were several, and or you know, lighthouse keeper adjacent mysterious figures. I liked the art style. I especially also really liked how it all controlled. Sailing, even though it was very slow in the beginning, it felt very smooth and fun. So I liked the loop. I liked all of it, and I wanted to know what was happening. And I enjoy a fishing game because real life fishing is not fishing, it's waiting. Sometimes a fish appears, but it is actually waiting. And you don't do as much of that in fishing games.
Yeah.
That's my stance.
So everything that you're talking about that you love, I also love, or I appreciate, especially I was like writing up my notes and thinking about it more. I think Dredge does like a tremendous job of thematic consistency and world building. Everything feels very, not like genre bound in the sense of tropey or expected, but more just in the sense of fulfilling the expectations of the genre. I think it does a really good job of. However, it's almost like something I would rather read than play.
Oh.
And I think that's why I bounced off at the beginning, and I texted you at about the same point where I dropped off initially, and I was like, I remember why I dropped off of this game.
And I said, don't spoil it. Don't tell me until we're there.
Yes, save it for the conversation on the pod. And I'll preface this all as like, I think this is a me issue. I don't think this is an issue with the game, and I really appreciate what they're doing with the game because it's, as I said, it's very thematically consistent. Nothing feels out of place in the world. The characters don't feel out of character. When I just read the plot summary on Wikipedia, I'm like, love it. I'm all in. But there's something about discovering the plot piecemeal, which I think is the right choice for this game. Like, I think that you should be discovering it piecemeal and not totally know what's going on. Like you said, it engenders this sense of fear and uncertainty and paranoia. I think all of that works really well for the game. It just didn't work well for me and being motivated to stay in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not totally sure why, but my guess is that it has to do with, like we talked about in Slay the Princess, I think it has to do with the stakes. Mm-hmm. And for me, the stakes just felt like there was not a point because everyone in the world is miserable.
True.
And even when you help them, they continue to be miserable. And I'm not saying that they owe me their like joy and like satisfaction or like that this game should be happy-go-lucky, because I think if it was, that would not be. I think they made the right decision there, but just for me and the way that I was playing it, I was like, I'm not enjoying exploration because I feel stressed, so I don't feel like I can discover things and piece them together because I'm constantly thinking about getting back to a safe place and not losing my progress. And again, I'm just like gonna keep saying this until people get bored. I think that's the right choice. I think that's very successful in terms of the story, the theme. It all makes sense that you want to engender this kind of stress. But for me, that conflicted so much with the pleasure of exploration and uncovering thing that the tension was just a little too. It was getting in my way rather than being like a tension that reinforced the story or the theme for me.
Interesting. I'm trying to think of how to compare this to other games that we've played that sort of trickle lore at you. And, like, just to take one big example, The first one that comes to mind is Breath of the Wild, which is obviously a very different game in terms of scale, but it does have cutscenes that you're supposed to look for and discover. And then that is the lore that is trickled at you as you're going through the gameplay. And is it just because the gameplay of Dredge was not engaging enough for you, or the right thing for you to keep you going in the middle of the lore trickles?
I think so. Because when I think of Breath of the Wild, I think about how good it feels to explore that open world and like how you just get diverted onto unexpected paths. And I think you could definitely do that in Dredge too, and many people do. I think there was just something about being on the open sea, which again, I think they're doing a good job of, where it feels a little isolating and you're getting sort of paranoid, but it conflicted with the need to explore and discover things. So it just made me not want to go off on those side paths, because I was like, I don't want to lose my fish. I don't want to lose this thing. And so I didn't get the immersive feeling of going off to explore and getting the reinforcement of that. And so probably by the end of the game, I didn't even find most, or like even the most important messages in bottles. And I only sort of know the plot from my research of like looking it up on Wikipedia. And it was just because I was like, I just want to make it to the next goal and I want to upgrade my boat. I think if the upgrade loop was a little faster and the map was a little bit more condensed, that would have kept me in it more. But I think that would be at the detriment of the like, I keep saying thematic consistency, which is like, feels like a snooty phrase, but I think it would be at the detriment of the story and the theme. So it's sort of, I think, more of a me issue.
You don't have to call it an issue. It just sounds like the game wasn't for you. But I appreciate you putting yourself through it for me, because now I'm just sitting here thinking, man, Dredge is so perfect. I should go replay Dredge and get the DLC. So they lost you, but they've got me back. Is through this conversation. It is funny to me too, just because part of the complaint is not as a strong word, but part of the criticisms that you have for it that you bounced off of. I agree that the loop of building up your ship to get faster could happen a little faster, because that was one of the main things that was annoying to me in the beginning. I was too slow. But once you get a little bit fast enough, you are zooming. Like there are certain...
You are zooming.
You are zooming across this ocean, and I felt it was actually a very tight map in that way, because once you get those upgrades, it's like no time at all to get from main island to main island. And it also then gave me a lot more freedom to explore the little islands in between that give you side quests or unlock a little extra lore or just scare you a little bit more. Like, I'm curious if you ran into the hooded figures that ask for fish upgrades.
Yes.
So like some of those things going on, or various shipwrecked people that you can rescue, or like there's a dog. I don't know if you found the dog, but you can find a dog and find him a home. Like you get to choose to drop him off with another character because he's lonely.
See, that maybe that would have turned this whole game around for me.
If you known about the dog,
I would have been like, it's all worth it.
Yeah, there's a little like dog on the side, or like one of my favorite things to discover were times when, for example, on a little side island, you thought you were approaching a shipwreck, and it wasn't a shipwreck. It was a monster disguised as a shipwreck, and then you're running from them, going, oh shit, like gotta get away. And sometimes you don't, and it's okay. I did, playing that game, have to make peace with the fact that I was gonna lose cargo at some point or another, and it was gonna hurt because I needed to get the fish back to a seller or like a merchant in order to get it logged in my like I caught this fish thing. But I'm a completionist. I liked that there was a bestiary of fish and aberrant fish. I liked seeing the designs of like, okay, this is a real fish and this is the screwed up version, the Lovecraftian version of the fish that you can find rarely.
Yes, I love the mutant fish. I really enjoyed the actual fishing mechanic. I liked, it's a pretty simple mini game, but there are a couple variations on it. So I really like that part, and I think, again, if I felt more enjoyment from the exploration, I would be so down to like complete the compendium of fish.
I wonder if there's a cozy game version of this, because I don't think Dave the Diver is that either. But is there a cozy game version of Dredge, which obviously would destroy the entire premise of Dredge? But is there a cozy game fishing version of Dredge that you think you would have enjoyed and been more invested in?
The other thing that I was thinking about, which caused me a lot of frustration, and I do think could be tuned a little bit and not be that disruptive to the vibe, for lack of a better word, is clarity of your goals. Because you have a bunch of different pursuits, quests, but sometimes you're like not sure. Like, there are things that you clearly need to do. So in like the first area that you go to, mostly because it's the first on the list of where the artifacts are the Gale Cliffs, and you run into debris blocking your path to the artifact that you can find. There are a couple other spots where there are debris, and there's two brothers on different little islands in that area who clearly, like, if you rejoin, or not even clearly actually, because I think I had to look it up, but like if you bring the brothers back together, they will sell you explosives to clear the debris. To get the brothers back together, you need to find their family crest. But to me, that connection was not that clear. And I also, in my head, I was like, clearly the family crest is past this debris. So I just like eventually was getting frustrated enough, because again, the exploration is like you can go for a while without finding something. It's like not as, again, I think intentionally, it's not as like packed with things to discover or play with as Breath of the Wild, if we're going to continue to use that as our comparison of like exploration.
I would actually,
so to me,
hold on, I want to take back my Breath of the Wild comparison though,
okay,
because that was just more for the lore drops. If we're going to talk about any Zelda in relation to this, I would like to invoke Wind Waker, because that one is sea exploration with a bunch of extra islands in between, but also which has a pretty linear storyline that you have to follow. Which you haven't played, right?
Yes, not in a long time, but yes. I had another game thinking about exploration. Oh, you know what? It wasn't about exploration, it was about lore drops, and it was blueprints. Of like, blueprints in a similar way is like more opaque, I would say, and you're getting much less lore drops. But because I was so into the roguelike mechanic of blueprints, that didn't matter to me, because I was like, yeah, I'll remake this house again and again and again. But talking about the goals, and like, because it takes longer between things you can discover while you're exploring, I didn't feel very motivated to like just go take my ship through places I think I've already seen before and I'm not totally sure. And there's no mini map, right? Is there a setting that for a mini map or no?
I honestly don't remember. I feel like
there's no mini map, so you always have to reopen the map, and there is a compass, but my brain is not good at cardinal directions, and so I was getting lost like a lot, which is a skill issue for me. Okay. But that also just made there be a little bit more friction in the exploration, and then I was like, well, I just feel stuck, and like I have to like go look up this thing, and I wish there was just a little bit more clarity on like reunite the brothers so you can clear the debris or whatever. Gotcha. Would, I think, just help me just a little bit more.
I wish I remembered exactly how that part went down for me, because I don't remember having that same issue. And I'm wondering why it was clearer to me than it was to you, I suppose.
I wonder if it's just because you were more invested in it and paying more attention.
That is also possible.
Because again, I feel like I just didn't. I hate saying this because I think the game is really well done. It just wasn't for me. But I just didn't care that much about what was going on with the characters to be like, yeah, blah, blah, you're like whalers or something. I don't care. Everyone's sad. Like, this is boring.
Oh, yeah, like, you've never... So I guess I also just enjoy a lot of, like, fish-themed media from the era. Well, because there's Lovecraft, but there's also... Have you ever read Moby Dick? It rocks.
I don't think I actually have. Maybe I read Moby Dick in high school, but I don't think so.
I think you should reread it. It is astounding. It is so good. And and I don't necessarily think that a high schooler would appreciate it, because I don't know, I read it during my MFA for fun. Like, they didn't assign it to me or anything, but that was the mindset I was in. And not only is it insane in terms of the storyline, but it's like formal aspects. But in any case, maybe I was just in like a wailing mood when I played the game. So I was like,
oh God.
yes, tell me more. Well, not in a wailing mood and like I want to go kill whales, but I don't know if you remember, but the first sentence, first paragraph of Moby Dick is, and I'm paraphrasing here obviously, but it's Ishmael saying, it's "Call me Ishmael," the famous line, and then he's like, do you ever just feel like killing yourself, so you get on a boat, like, instead?
I like I want to stop saying the word theme, because it feels like a crutch at this point, but I like the vibes of, like, a fisherman obsessed with something going slowly insane due to, like, isolation and sea madness or something. Like, I like that. I like the eldritch horror. Like, it's all stuff that should work for me, but I think, again, it's just maybe something I want to explore through, rarely is this the case, but I think instead of exploring through, like, an interactive medium, I would rather explore through, like, written or static.
Okay. That's so funny, because I actually felt the opposite way. Possibly because I have experienced this similar story in a bunch of different media. I was like, I actually wanted this version of it, because, and I want to make one note about what I know about the development of this game before asking you specifically to go into the plot. But to me, the plot was pretty standard for this sort of genre. So I enjoyed that there was an added aspect of interactivity and choice to it that elevated that. But one thing maybe that will illuminate how you're feeling about this, I think, is I know that when they went to go into creating Dredge, they actually had a sort of, not contest, but like a brainstorming project among their team, which is a few of them each came up with a different idea and a demo for a specific sort of gameplay loop. And this was the one that they ended up wanting to do out of all of those. There was like a very small demo of like, we are fishing kind of thing that they were like, you know what, this one we can expand. This we can work with. And then that's what spun into Dredge. So it wasn't necessarily like, we want to do Eldritch Horror first. It was, we perfected this mechanic, which is what you really enjoyed. You said you really liked the fishing aspect and how it worked and the moving around.
Yes. Yeah, you asked me earlier if I thought there's a cozy version of this game that I would like, and there probably is, but I don't think there would be much to say about it. Which I think goes for a lot of, like, well, not necessarily. I don't want to join the bandwagon of, like, cozy games have nothing to say and no, like, challenge to them. I think that we can talk about that later, though. Aside. No, listen to my theory, okay? Listen to my theory, which we've maybe talked about already. My theory is that a good cozy game, potentially, is not something that has low challenge content, but it has low challenge gameplay. Like, I think it's something that has low demand, low cognitive demand, or, like, low challenge, very engaging game loop, which frees you up to engage with challenging content. And I don't think all, or even most, cozy games, cozy, air quotes, games, wholesome games, air quotes, do this, but I think that that is the potential of that genre.
Gotcha. It sounds like you have a secret definition of cozy games that nobody else who ever plays a cozy game thinks is a cozy game.
I don't think it's a definition. Like, I don't think that has to be true for a cozy game, but I think for a cozy game to be interesting, it should have something interesting to say, and it doesn't necessarily need to have, like, non-cozy aesthetic or, it doesn't need to have, like, a grim dark or, like, non-cozy aesthetic or mechanics to be able to say something interesting. So, The plot of Dredge, I think I kind of covered the broad strokes in the intro, but you show up, you're the new fisherman, you're replying to a job posting to be the new angler for the town. So at first you just kind of go out, you get some fish, you sell, you're a little nervous to go out at night, and then you very quickly are prompted to do so by the fishmonger, and you start to discover that, like, ooh, mutant fish, exciting. Which I am excited by. I love the mutant fish. I think they rock. And then just outside of the area that you start in is a little island that has a man called the Collector on it, who prompts you to find 5 artifacts. So you have this sort of main through line of, let's go find the artifact in each area. Each time you return an artifact, he gives you a little power up. And you, along the way, are potentially discovering messages in a bottle from a woman who goes by the initials JJ, that's telling the story of the unraveling of her husband. It's like initially a little bit before they're married, and then to presumably her death. And I'll talk about the path that I took, which was to just do what it told me and go get the artifacts and return them to this mysterious man, because I was like, let's get this game done so I can talk about it. Return them to this mysterious man. He gives you a thing. You're like, this seems bad. He's like reading from like this book to give me scary powers that make me paranoid. And then eventually when you return the 5th artifact, you get a sick ass cutscene at the end. I think it's so, I loved, unequivocally love it.
It's incredible. I loved it. Chills, shivers, etc. But
yes.
You know.
Everything is put together so perfectly, like the music. So you go out on a boat with him, he throws the artifacts overboard, chants some spell, and the corpse of his wife, JJ, this is implied, you don't know that for sure, rises out from the ocean, and as she does, so does a behemoth creature, and then it cuts to the credits against the backdrop of Greater Marrow burning, sort of implying that you've destroyed the world for this. I love that. It was sick. It was not until I was like, that seems kind of weird, that's that's the ending. And so I was looking up, and it's like, okay, there is another path you can take where you don't give the artifacts to the Collector. And I was like, I almost want to replay it and do that path to see what it's like, but I did not have time, and I was like, I'm not doing this again. So here's my gripe with that, and I'm curious to hear what path you took, and if you've done both. Here's my gripe with it. It's just like the lack of clarity for the quests. It feels like if you don't give him, because you do have the option, give him the artifact or hide it. It does not feel like that is a choice, because you can undo that choice at any time. It just feels like it's putting off the inevitable, which again, I'm like, I kind of like that. I feel like it's like the inevitable is that you succumb to this dark force. However, it just doesn't feel like it's a thing you can do, and I wish that it was more clear that you were taking a stance. Because I just didn't really conceive of it, because it wasn't like, oh, I wonder what happens if I don't give it to him. It just is presented like, to continue your quest, you must give it to him. And so I'm like, okay, let's get moving.
Let's get on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because I was so much more into the aesthetic and the story than it sounds like you were, I was willing, first off, to explore more around what was going on. That gave me background to make me more comfortable in making those choices. And second, I like to push the bounds of what the game seems to be putting me toward. As we've discussed, whenever a game tells me, like, this is the main quest, I'm like, okay, let's do anything else. So, I did tell him no, especially in the very ending. I don't remember exactly how many choices you have to not give him stuff, but I remember quite clearly the very ending part where you basically have all the artifacts you need. This man who's been giving you eldritch powers is demanding this of you. And I said no. And you can say no and no and no until you press. And through saying no, and I forget which path reveals this. I think both of them do. But through saying no in a certain way at one point or another, you learn that you, the perspective character, the angler, are the collector. And it's like a hallucination that the collector is outside of you. But you are like an ancient fisherman attempting to right the wrongs of your past by bringing your wife back from the dead, and regardless of what it costs, and obviously it's going to cost a lot. There's this really cool moment that I don't know if you experienced, and stop me if you did, but there's a cool moment where you, the fisherman, punch a mirror because you're talking to yourself in the mirror as the collector, and that's how you learn that it was you. No? Emmy's shaking her head.
Nope. You don't find that out in the path where you just give him each of the artifacts.
Yeah. So I did that first. Yeah. And then I think I like saved or something so that I could just replay that choice in particular.
Well, my question about this, because I knew this plot from looking it up, but I don't know the minutia of the path of not giving him stuff. For me, I did go back and try to like not give him the final one, and that just seemed like it just pushed off the inevitable, and I probably didn't explore enough with the dialogue options available to me, because it's again that thing where it seems like I wish they had there's a like big green exclamation point for quest related things, but it doesn't indicate to you when there are potentially new dialogue options available. It just sort of quietly adds them, and I wish that had a little bit more like, oh, there's new dialogue options available. And you do see like they're grayed out if you've done them before, but just in terms of like returning to asking questions, I wish it gave you like just a little bit more scaffolding to like prompt you to go see those things.
Right.
Because after every single artifact I got, I went and I gave it to him. I don't know if you had all of them and you didn't give him any. I wasn't sure if that was required to.
They take up so much space in your inventory, even once you get storage, that I would just give it to him after each one. But it was the final choices. And like, I think it might have been giving him the artifacts, but then he's like, okay, now let's go, use them, where you say no, and you can get some more interesting choices. I don't quite remember that bit.
Yeah, maybe I will go back then to my save before it ends and explore that a little bit more. Because to me, I was like, yeah.
Right at that point is when it splits. Because I was able to go back and then play the it's not the bad end or the good end, but like the true end, where you bring the wife back.
Uncover the truth. Yeah.
Yeah. I also wonder if you were picking up on that stuff even ahead of time, though, if you weren't like paying attention as deeply to the characters or conversations because you didn't care as much. But there's definitely a lot of things that people say to you that they recognize you. Yeah. They're like, oh, you're back. Oh, that thing that happened. I don't want to talk to you because you did blah, blah, blah. There's clearly something going on with you, the player character, that you can't see because you never know who you, the fisherman, really are. But you can pick up that something happened with you that leads to you being, oh, I'm the collector.
I definitely noticed that. I was not, like, shocked when I read, like, oh, you are, like, it's revealed that you are the collector. I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's not, like, a shocking thing. It's just, I think, a really well done thing.
Yes, I think so, too. And there are hints of it. I didn't necessarily, like, fully put it together, but when I read that, I was like, oh, okay. And again, I just wish I felt more immersed in it. I don't know what my problem is. But because I want to experience this. I'm like, it sounds great. But I just was so distracted being like, ugh, fine. Fine. I'll go do this thing. That it just didn't hit for me as hard as I wanted it to.
Were there any parts of it that really did in terms of like a side quest so you were like, okay, I'm on board? Like right now I'm thinking of, there's one island where the person that you run into on that island is like an abandoned fighter pilot of some kind, or was he a sailor as well? I think you're looking for planes, and essentially his fellow soldiers were killed by like a large fish monster in the area, and he's the only one remaining, and he wants your help getting revenge. And in the end you do get that revenge for him, and he feels like he can move on. I really liked that whole thing, actually.
Yeah, that was actually probably my favorite part of the whole game, and I think it's because it felt, again, I felt more strongly that I knew what I needed to do, and that And maybe it was because I'd done enough, like it was my third area, I'd done enough of these where I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get some fish, go back to this person, they're going to give me the thing that I need to do this other thing. But in the first two areas, I was like, clearly I need something, and I'm like not connecting the dots for some reason about what I need to do to get there. So I was like constantly just trying to get good enough with like sailing and upgrade my ship enough where I'm like, maybe I will be able to escape this giant octopus in the bottom of the Stellar Basin. And it's like, no, you actually just need to go complete a quest and get a thing to get past this. And so something about the mangroves area where they have the fighter pilot, maybe it was because it was prompting me, because it's like maze like that area, it's less open, so I was sort of opening my map more and more to be able to navigate effectively. And it just felt like the speed, like the clip at which I knew what I was doing going to get it, making progress, that felt the best to me. And then of course the final scene at the end, I was like, this rocks.
It was
maybe
so
my
good.
whole opinion has changed.
Very, very well done. Okay, yeah, I get that.
Oh, one other thing I want to mention about mechanics that I do really like about this game is you have limited inventory space that's like a grid, and different fish take up different amounts and shapes. So it's kind of a puzzle to organize your inventory so that you can carry as much as possible. And I really like that. And also your ship upgrades also take up space of like your engine and your rod. So it felt very customizable in terms of what do I want to prioritize more, because it's going to take up space. And, oh, I shouldn't have this rod installed that only does abyssal and hadal when I'm in this other area that never has those kinds of fish. So I did really enjoy that aspect as well.
I enjoyed that too. I almost forgot about that inventory puzzle that you had to be doing all the time. And it's really funny that to me at least, that I enjoyed that so much, because in real life I hate packing. Because every item when I'm going on a trip is a decision, and I feel the need to optimize each bit of space that I have.
Yeah.
And this is that same game, but it's got really nice fish drawings involved, so it's fine.
There's less uncertainty in it as well, I think. Like,
it's true.
In a real life, your suitcase, you can kind of like smush stuff around, versus in this it has very neat and orderly boundaries.
I always felt so good when I had a full inventory where every square was taken up perfectly by something.
Yeah, very satisfying. Yeah, I think that's everything. I think final verdict for me on Dredge, I think it is an exceptionally well done and intentional game where everything fits together very well, and it just ultimately wasn't hitting for me personally.
That's okay. It's fine. I'm gonna go replay it now. Okay,
all right.
Upcoming games. Tell me about some things that are coming up.
Upcoming games. Okay, starting from closest to the release of this episode, release date, Morsels is coming out on November 18th and is being published by Annapurna. It is a creature collecting roguelite, which is a combination that I am intrigued by. The aesthetic to me is very like intestinal, is the only way I can describe it. In kind of a cute way, which I guess is apt because the premise of the story is that you're fighting your way out of the sewers. And then the main mechanic seems to be switching between creatures you've collected that have different abilities and fighting styles, which makes me think of Nobody Saves the World, which I really, really enjoyed. So I'm definitely going to check this one out once my backlog of current games reduces a little bit. Next one I wanted to talk about comes out on the same day, November 18th, and is in a similar vein, which is Kingdoms of the Dump. And it is billed as an SNES-style JRPG. You play as Dustin Binsley, a trash can knight in a fantasy world of garbage. This was funded by a Kickstarter, and it was developed by Roach Games, which consists of a team of 2... I don't know that they still are custodians, but when they started thinking and developing this game, they were both custodians. So I think that's really
Roach Games.
Cute.
Yeah, they're so dedicated to the aesthetic. I think that's great. I think it'll have some real
it looks really.
knowledge.
I'm really excited. I think this will be a cool game. And there's like really cute like cartoon. I don't know if they're actually cutscenes in the game or if it's just part of the trailer. But I like the look of it. The next day, November 19th, so these are all releases clustered in a very small window. Demon School is coming out November 19th and has
Yes.
been highly anticipated, at least in our internet sphere, and also has been delayed a few times. So, but I feel pretty good that it will be out November 19th. I believe we discussed the delay in context of Silksong's release.
Mm.
Demon School is a tactics RPG where you are balancing university life and defeating what they describe as big weirdos in between the human and demon worlds. I love a game where you can go to school, like Persona or Toki Doki Memorial Girls Side.
Mm.
So I am really looking forward to Demon School and also just have like been anticipating it. So we'll definitely be
Right.
checking it out. Same day, again, November 19th, is Moonlighter 2, The Endless Vault.
Ah.
That comes to early access on November 19th. I know Annie was a fan of the first. I played a few hours of it, but just didn't get into it for whatever reason at the time. But I would like to go back to it. While the first Moonlighter was 2D, the sequel is 3D, which I think is an interesting choice. And then Annie, correct me if I'm wrong, but the loop of the first game, and it seems like this one is you're like exploring, fight through dungeons, and then you return to manage your shop where you sell the loot that you're gathering from dungeons.
Exactly. So that was the loop of the first game. I really liked the pixel art style, and it was something that the studio was then hired to translate over to a League of Legends game as part of their Riot Forge program. So they made the Silas game that came out a couple years ago as well. So I'm a little sad that they moved away from the pixel art for the new game, but that loop was so fun for me that as long as it's a similar concept, I'm still totally on board. I'll be playing in early access. My fun fact about this game is that I was just looking at the credits of Christopher Larkin, part of Team Cherry, who did the music for Hollow Knight and Silksong. He's also doing the music for Moonlighter too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm pumped.
Nice. Okay. Last one I wanted to talk about comes out November 24th and is called Constance. So it is this gorgeous looking hand drawn 2D Metroidvania. The platforming looks quite challenging just in the trailer, in the vein of like Silksong or Celeste. And I'm really drawn to this like very fluid animation of Constance, the main character, who is trying to escape what they describe as a colorful but decaying inner world created by her declining mental health.
That sounds very cool.
Yeah, you should definitely, everyone should just like go look at and watch the trailer because I think the animation of it is really, really nice. That's all I have for upcoming games.
There's too many good games.
There are, I was like, went back to the release calendar on SteamDB and I was like, oh no. Oh yay, but oh no.
Quitting my job to play video games full time, not even for the desire to make content about them, just to play them.
Yeah.
Just to play.
That's everything from us.
Beautiful. Do we do our till next time?
One day
here?
we will come up with a sign off that tells you information that you need to know. And until then, we'll just include us panicking every time we need to end an episode.
Yup. Bye.
Bye!